Hello everyone and welcome back to another BCP library video. My name is Katie and today I'm going to be showing you 3 easy jewellery craft ideas. But as well as watching BCP on YouTube, you can now safely go into one of our libraries and find many books on crafts. We have books on jewellery making, books on general card making, general crafts, books on how to knit, how to make jewellery, how to draw, how to paint. So do pop down to your local BCP library if you would like some more ideas on how to be creative this spring. So for the first craft you will need some fabric, some scissors, some buttons, a safety pin, a glue gun, some felt and needle and thread. So what we're going to do first of all is draw a circle on a piece of fabric scrap. And I've got a pot here to draw around, but you don't need to draw around something if you are good at drawing circles, but I need a guide. And we need to make 5 circles. And once we have drawn them, you need to cut them out. And I've cut out different styles of fabric, but you can use the same fabric, it's totally up to you. So once you have your 5 circles, you need to fold your circle into a quarter, one at a time. Then take a needle and thread and roughly sew around the edge, so around the open edge like I'm doing here. And you don't have to be good at sewing to do this at all. I'm not very good at sewing, but I can do this very easily because you don't have to be neat. It's just a very rough sewing line because we will need to bunch it up at the end of the craft. So there we have our roughly sewn edge. And then what we can do is pull each end of the thread like this, and then we get a petal. And then you need to do this with all of the circles and you just attach them together so you don't cut off the first petal, the thread from the first petal. You just continue with the sewing. So I'm going to roughly sew this one. It's just very easy, very nice and rough sewing. Pull the needle all the way through and pull it all the way down the thread to meet the previous petal. Like that. And then you need to do it the same with all of the petals. I'm just doing the last one now. And then they should all meet together nicely. And then we just need to sew them together. Again, it doesn't have to be neat and it doesn't matter if it's a little bit flimsy because we are going to be fixing that later when we add the button in the centre. So once you have sewn it all together, you just need to tie it off and cut off your thread. I'm just finishing off mine now, just making sure it is secure. And there we go. So now you need to choose a button to go in the middle of your flower. I've chosen quite a nice big red one here. And then you need to take your glue gun. Just be very careful with hot glue. And then place the button back onto the flower, and this will secure the flower nicely. And now you need to take a little bit of felt. I've cut out a little green bit and then thread through a safety pin and make sure the bit that opens is at the top. And then you need to take your hot glue again and put the glue on the back of the felt like this. And then attach it to the back of the flower, and that will neaten up any of the rough sewing and the thread on the back. And there you will have a nice little flower badge or a brooch that you can put on your coat or your jacket or even your lanyard. I might put this on my BCP library lanyard. And there you go. And you can also make them different sizes. I've made this smaller one and this bigger one. There we go. So for the next jewellery craft, you just need to take a piece of elastic and some buttons, and you'll need some scissors as well. So first of all, you need to take your elastic, make sure you cut it nice and long, a lot longer than you think you will need for a bracelet, and then tie a knot in the end. And then you need to find some buttons. You can get buttons quite cheaply in a lot of craft shops. You can get them in a big pack, or you might have a lot of buttons that you've saved over the years It's totally up to you what colours you choose, and then you just need to thread the buttons onto the elastic, just like you would if you were using beads. And how it works is the button will go on and then the next button will face the other way because they will pile that way. So for my design, I'm alternating the colours between pink and blue. So one side of the bracelet will be pink and one side will be blue. You don't have to do this, you can do it any way you like. And I'm just about halfway through now and just threading on the buttons. It's very easy and quite nice and relaxing. Maybe you want to listen to an audiobook while you do this. BCP Library does subscribe to BorrowBox, so you can find information about that on the library's website, and I will leave a link to that in the video description. And once you are done, you will have something that looks like this. I've made this long enough to be a bracelet, and to tie off the bracelet, all you need to do is thread the opposite end of the elastic to the opposite button, like I'm doing here, just thread it through. So that's one end, and then the other end through the opposite button. So this one will go through the blue button. And this works really well because this really hides the ugly knot that you have to tie, because sometimes when you're making bracelets and you're making an elastic beaded bracelet, it can be quite hard to disguise the knot that you have to tie, but if you use buttons to tie off your bracelet, then it will hide the knot. So once you have threaded the elastic through each button, this can be quite fiddly, this is probably the fiddliest part of the craft, is then you just need to tie a knot. I usually tie 2 or 3 knots to make sure it is really secure, and pull it tightly, and then you will have fastened your bracelet together. And once you have tied your knot securely, you can just cut off the excess elastic with some scissors, and then your bracelet is ready to wear. So here is my bracelet, but you can make whatever colour button bracelet you like. You can also use buttons to tie off a regular beaded bracelet because, like I said, it hides the knot, so you can just thread just ordinary beads along your elastic and then just use a button on either end, and that will tie it off and make a nice focal point for your jewellery. And you can also do this with rings as well. The buttons make a nice little charm for the ring, and you just need to make a smaller piece of elastic. And you can also, if you have lots of buttons, do some necklaces like I've done here, and you just use ordinary thread for that. The last craft I'm going to show you is how to make safety pin jewellery. So you just need some safety pins, obviously, and some odds and ends of beads. So what you need to do is take your first safety pin, and then you can add some beads to it. So if you open the safety pin, you should be able to add a few beads on, like this. Just add whatever colour beads you like. I'm going to make this one a blue and green colour. There we go. And I'm going to add another safety pin to it as well before I close it up. And then when you've added however many beads you want to, you then close up your safety pin like that, and they will link really nicely together. So for this one, I'm going to add some more beads too. There we go. And there's 2, and then here's the third one with some green beads. There we go. And you just need to keep adding a safety pin with beads to your chain. And it is a lot easier if you add your safety pin to your chain and then put your beads on. It will work a lot better. So for this one, I'm just using the dark blue beads again. Just adding a few on, but you can use whatever colour you like. You might want to do a rainbow bracelet, you might just want to stick to one colour. It's totally up to you, whatever you have in your craft supplies or whatever you can find. And once you are done, you will have something that looks like this. This is long enough for a necklace. And for the clasp of the necklace, I'm just going to use another safety pin, a slightly smaller one, and I'm not going to put any beads on it. So when you open the clasp of the necklace, the beads won't fall off. And there you have a necklace ready to wear, all made out of safety pins. If you don't have quite enough safety pins, you can also make a bracelet, like I've done here. I've done this one a little bit more colourful with some bigger beads, but it's totally up to you. You can experiment with making your very own safety pin jewellery. So those are my 3 jewellery crafts for you. They're very simple and easy. Don't forget that BCP libraries have many books with many more craft ideas if you're feeling inspired to get creative.